Welcome to Almost Timely News for the week of February 20th, 2022. What's on my mind this week? Vertical versus horizontal skills. I was having a chat with my oldest child today as they're starting to think about higher education, post-secondary education, college, university, and they asked what I thought they should study. And I suggested that they think about the horizontal skills that they enjoy the most. Now, for clarity, let's define these terms. When we think of verticals and vertical skills, we're thinking typically about industries, right? Accounting, human resources, marketing, manufacturing. If you look at something like a NAICS code index list of industries, everything on that list is a vertical, from agriculture to zookeeping, right? It's just industries. That's verticals. When we study in university or in professional development and training, we're very often learning vertical skills. How do you be a better accountant, right? How do you be a better lawyer? How do you improve your carpentry skills? These vertical skills, they're important. They're part of our trade skills. How proficient we are in our vertical skills dictates to a fair degree how successful we are. Someone really bad at marketing probably won't be in the marketing profession for too long, right? Vertical knowledge, really important. Vertical skills, but vertical skills only apply in that particular vertical industry. Someone who's really good at carpentry, for example, probably not going to be a great plumber out of the box. Someone who's a great plumber, probably not going to be a good marketer. Horizontal skills, on the other hand, are skills that cross industries. So writing, audio composition, video skills, cinematography, management, psychology. These skills are nearly universal and are a substantial boost to our careers. I would actually argue in this context, marketing is a horizontal skill, right? Because it can apply to many different verticals. Someone who's an excellent writer can do well in many different industries. In today's always on, always watching world, someone who can make a great video will do well in tons of different industries. Someone with a strong understanding of mathematics and statistics can apply that knowledge in many different ways and situations. Data science, artificial intelligence, all these things you can see applying across a whole bunch of different kinds of companies. Horizontal knowledge applies broadly with relatively little change to the core essence across many industries. So if you're thinking about a skill and you can easily pick up that skill and move it from one industry or company type to another without changing it a whole lot, that's a horizontal skill. On the other hand, if you got a skill set that when you try to move it somewhere else doesn't really move well, that's a vertical skill, right? Someone who is an outstanding chef, probably not a good forklift driver, right? So I was counseling my kid to think about studying horizontal skills for two reasons. One, they're obviously very transferable, right? Someone who's good at managing other people or managing projects can work in pretty much any industry and be successful, from industrial concrete to artificial intelligence to adult entertainment, right? Everyone needs good managers to help make the workforce work better. Everyone needs good project management to ensure things get done on time and under budget. But here's the real secret and the reason I'm nudging my kid this way. Horizontal skills are somewhat harder to build automation for and really difficult for artificial intelligence to copy effectively. Why? Because horizontal skills are influenced by the vertical they're placed in, but the important knowledge is not stored in the vertical. For example, let's take being a good writer. Machines are developing, decent writing skills. We talked about this a couple issues ago. But that said, they still struggle with very specific writing tasks without a lot of training, and they can't really write anything original. Everything that a machine writes is synthesized from prior writing that it's learned from. So if you want a machine that can write great technical papers, say in vacuum-formed plastics, right? You're going to need to tune an existing model on that topic with lots of good content about that topic, and it may not exist, at least not enough quantity to train the machine well. Right? Here's a vertical example, vacuuming, right? We can build really good AI, really good robots that can learn the singular vertical skill of vacuuming, right? And we've got, consumer machines you can buy to do that kind of thing. On the other hand, take something like audio engineering. A machine can learn some of the tactical basics of audio engineering, like how do you remove noise or how do you compress audio to a certain specification, like ITU 1770 for audio in cars. Many commercial packages like Adobe Audition have these capabilities baked right in, but we are still very, very far away from the ability to just give raw audio to a machine of any kind and have that machine spit out polished product with no intervention, because the rules change so much from vertical to vertical, from application to application. What is great audio engineering for a spoken word podcast or a YouTube channel like this would horrifically mangle a musical piece, right? If I use the same exact settings in Adobe Audition on, R&B piece that I use for this audio, it would mangle. It would sound terrible. What sounds great for audio engineering on classical music is going to sound peculiar on jazz. And yet every company that is trying to make out a podcast, that's trying audio ads on Spotify, that is making videos on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, they all need some help. And that requires the horizontal skill of audio engineering, but the mental flexibility and agility to deal with different situations. And machines can't do that. They can't generalize that easily and port their skills from one vertical to another as easily as people can. Horizontal skills have a ton of variation because they change from industry to industry, from application to application. We humans are really good at adapting to different generalizations, and our machine counterparts are a really long way off from being able to transfer skills so easily. So when I tell my kid about what they might want to think about studying, I'm suggesting horizontal skills as a way to a little bit future-proof their career as best as possible, for the years to come. So here's my question to you. What vertical skills do you have? What horizontal skills do you have? And how much of your professional development and training efforts do you invest in each? They're both important, right? They're both important. But horizontal skills are a little more future-proof, so make sure that your investment in yourself reflects that. In other news this week, got some articles on third-party analytics on LinkedIn, machine learning and AI, of course, the usual set of skills. Got some new job listings: the digital analytics specialist at Ria Group, events marketing manager at Casa, content marketing manager at Plainsware, some stuff for how to market your agency, and of course, the usual roundup of news posts. So I hope you enjoy this week's newsletter. As always, just hit the reply button if you've got comments. More than happy to answer questions and things like that. If you have a chance, go hop on over to the Slack group that goes with the newsletter. Go to trustinsights.ai/analytics for marketers, all lowercase, no spaces. And I'll talk to you next week. Thanks for tuning in.